Yeah, it's a challenge, and a lot of it has to do with the stance you're in and the pass sets you're used to making. And he played right tackle for us his rookie year, with the idea that we felt like he was going to be our left tackle, and that's why we drafted him. And he's just somebody who cares so much about the game. We talk a lot to our players about being invested in this team, and also invested in yourself and doing the things necessary to become the best you can be. It's a unique opportunity that we have to do what we do. And you want to squeeze the blood out of the rock and take full advantage of everything by working as hard as possible. And he's a great example to me, our coaches, and to the rest of our team of doing that. A young player, he was 20 years old when we were starting for us as a rookie, and came in and just learned from every experience and grew. And the transition really, as much as anything else, is a tribute to his athletic ability, but really his work ethic and how hard he worked on making that transition as quickly as possible. And he's turned out to be pretty darn good over there on the left-hand side.
Sometimes you forget he's just 23.
Yeah. Look at him when he walks into the room. And beyond that, beyond just his physical stature, he's got a real maturity about him that's really impressive. And, a lot of the guys have to deal with a lot of things when they transition from college football to pro football. And he just is, he's something else. And the kind of guy he is, we really emphasize the importance of mental toughness. We believe that's a distinguishing trait in players and in teams, and he represents that in spades. He's off the charts, and we love him to death.
When you're a new coach, how important is that first pick you make?
Really important. It's really important. Obviously, every pick we make is critical to the development of our team, our organization, but that first one says a lot about what you believe. And I've told our coaches this all the time, that we can stand in front of our room and talk about what we think is important in football and what we're looking for and what we value and what our philosophies are. But ultimately, it comes down to the guys you choose to have on your team and what you value in the people you bring in here. And my dad told me a long, long time ago, I was a young kid, I probably was 12 years old, and he said the most important job of a coach is to cut the team down the right way and play the right players. And I didn't really know what he was talking about. And I've come to learn what he's talking about here the last few years for the very reasons I just said. You can talk a lot about what you think is important, but ultimately it shows with who you keep on the 53 and who you decide to play and what those people represent.
Jason, you're able to move forward with Smith. Is there any sense of urgency surrounding locking down DeMarco or Dez possibly?
Oh, I think those discussions are always ongoing. We feel like we have a lot of young players who represent what we want, and you'd like to get these guys locked in for a long period of time. They're really good players. They love the game. They're tough. They're productive. But, there's a business side to this as well. And, we have business people working on those kinds of deals. And, it's my hope as the coach of this football team that we get those guys locked up as we go forward. But I understand the other side as well. And everybody's out for the same thing. We want to do what's right for our organization. And hopefully those things can happen at some time soon.
You made building the offensive line a priority. Do you feel like in any way you did it at the expense of building the defensive line?
Oh, I don't think so. One of the things that we talk about a lot in the draft is making sure that you don't pick players solely based on need. I think teams around this league have made that mistake over and over and over again throughout the years, and it's not unique to any particular team. It's just a tendency that we all have. If you see a hole, hey, we got to go get that guy. Who's going to play that position for us? And oftentimes that happens at the expense of a really, really good player who's going to be great for your franchise for a long time going somewhere else. And, we made no bones about the fact that we need to improve our defense. And we had some defensive players who we targeted in the draft who we liked. But when the time came to pick in the first round, we felt like the best player on that board was Zach Martin, an offensive guard from Notre Dame. And we feel like he's going to really be an asset to our team, not only this year but for years to come. And so you make that decision and hopefully address some of the other issues you might have in your team in another way.
Is Romo practicing this afternoon?
We anticipate Tony practicing this afternoon.
When he's giving you feedback, is he talking to you about his back and stiffness and soreness, or how much of it is about how his arm is feeling after not throwing much in the spring?
Oh, I think it's more to do with his back.
Back to those 3 draft picks real quick, the linemen, they're all, pretty much the same age. Is there a chance there for a pretty special
absolutely. And you know, you see those relationships developing before your eyes. It's really a tight-knit group. You'll see 15 guys walk out on the practice field together. They go from meeting room to meeting room. They all eat together. You know, they spend time together in the off season, and you know, that's a really important thing for your football team. Throughout your football team, the idea of teammates, it's a special thing. It's a special bond, and particularly when you play a position like offensive line, where the communication is verbal, but also has to be almost by feel. Things happen really quickly up there, and the more you know each other, the closer you are in so many different ways. Ultimately, will show up in the execution. But there's no question those guys are developing unique bonds together, and it's going to be a real positive thing for that unit and for our team.
Jason, on days where Romo isn't practicing, have you noticed any changes in the demeanor of Brendan and how he approaches practices on those days?
You know, I don't think so. One of the things we've been really impressed by with Brandon is that he takes advantage of every rep and opportunity that he gets. And he got a lot of great opportunities in the spring to work with the first unit, and he was prepared for those opportunities. I think he learned from them, and I think the same thing here. Whether he's working with the ones or with the twos, you really see a guy who wants to understand what we're asking him to do and wants to improve with each and every snap that he gets. And that's a good thing, obviously, for any player, particularly at that position.
What intrigued you about Mincy and free agency, and can you talk a little bit about what he's done in the offseason program and early in this career?
Yeah, he's just been a good player in this league for a while, just productive. He has a motor on him. He's got kind of this infectious way about him. He's got a real passion and spirit for playing. At the end of it, he seems to be around the ball a lot, both making plays in the run and affecting the quarterback. And he's done it a couple different places in this league. And, you know, he's one of those guys we've had our eye on for a little bit. We've tried to sign him at different times, you know, throughout his career, and it just worked out this offseason. And, you know, when you bring a guy like that in who's got some skins on the wall, has been around good teams, good players, has been a good player himself, that can be a real positive influence on a unit that's fairly young. And you watch him practice. He practices as hard as anybody we got on this team. And he's always going 100 miles an hour and always asking me what he can do better to help our football team. And, you know, just a real positive influence, and he's been a good player in this league for a while.